What's up, YouTube? Uh, this probably it is the first time I've done a video because this ain't my thing. But I was spurred on by a video I saw the other day by Mr. Trucker Brown. He was running with his teammate named Lowe, and they were broke down by a freight liner on their way to Las Vegas. And they went live, and Mr. Brown started saying some things to a man on the live feed that just didn't make no sense to me. He started degrading that man, saying that he was a company driver, and the man admitted he was. So Mr. Brown decides to start degrading him and how much money the man makes, saying things like he's a Super 8 Sting MF, just degrading the man, which I don't understand, because any man or woman who's out here trying to make a living, I applaud them for trying to make an honest living. That's either in the trucking industry or with any job that they have. You know what? They're trying to provide for themselves or themselves and their loved ones, and they're trying to do it honestly. So for that, they should be applauded. Now I understand Mr. Brown was probably upset because he was broken down, etc., etc. It's going to cost him some change. But when you go on YouTube and you put it out on public, then you, like he was saying on the video, he could do and say whatever he wants. Well, when you put it in public, people could respond whichever way they like as well. It's a two-way street. And just to assume that this man has no money is just a bad assumption. Completely bad. You don't know what type of money that man has. You don't know what type of money is backing that man. Take me, for example. I work for Swift. And when I came in this company, I didn't have no experience whatsoever. And I used to be a restaurant manager. Yet, because of my wife and whatnot, I had access to $40,000 right off the rip. So to assume things about a person because of a certain job is just a bad assumption. It's a really bad assumption. Because you have no idea. I mean, just take me for example, that I'm an owner out for Swift. My wife makes $50,000 a year. That is correct. I made more money than she did last year. Between the two of us, my wife is now driving a 2016 Nissan Pathfinder. We got it in November. And this ain't to brag, it's just to show people how when they might see me jumping out of a Swift truck, they might have an assumption and it's the wrong one. We're about to close on a house. It ain't a big house. It's only $123,000. But we're putting 20% on that down, so we don't have to pay a PMI insurance and to bring the mortgage payment down. So, and we all have to understand one thing, that we're one step away, like Mr. Brown said on that video, and he showed that man when he degraded him and he put up a quarter and said, this is how much he's making. Well, Mr. Brown, you're one mistake away from making that much. Like in the video, you and Mr. Lowe were saying, jokingly or not, that you might go back to Prime. Well, guess what? You're one misfortune away from going back to Prime. Because as to your conversation, which I'm not going to get into, you kind of indicated what type of money you have. So you're not really rolling like that, because it's all relative. You see, you're degrading that man, and there are thousands and thousands of truckers that are well established that could look at Mr. Brown and say, you're broke. And by the money that they have compared to Mr. Brown, they would be correct, because that's a relative thing. And it's relative also in this. Mr. Brown, say for example you make $65,000 and you have a company driver who makes $40,000. But that company driver has no bills whatsoever. He doesn't pay no rent. He doesn't have no child support, unlike Mr. Brown. And he doesn't have any bills. But yeah, you have a person that's paying child support, paying rent, and sending money here and sending money there because of their responsibilities. At the end of the year, shit, never mind the end of the year, at the end of the paycheck, who has more money? So again, that's a relative thing, because it all dependent upon your circumstances in life. So to make an assumption and degrade somebody just doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever. You know, like take me for example. I've only been trucking now for 2 years and 9 months. I drive a 2016 Freightliner. I got it in 2015. I'm only about 25 months away from my truck